A lot of subjects that we've addressed, a lot of tough conversations to have, most probably a couple of phone calls to people outside on just how the day's gone. But hopefully there have been some good insights that you've picked up and that have been valuable, and we can implement or at least open those conversations when you get back home to your golf clubs. So we'll get to this last session of the day, but as I look out here now, and the benefit of being up here and in this position is that you make eye contact and you pick up basically where people are sitting, and what I'm seeing is there's a lot of people sitting in the same seats again. So I'll pick up on my good friend Stephen and invite you all to maybe change where you're sitting. Pick up another seat. And for those that are at the back, let's squeeze up a little bit. There's some open seats down the front here so that we can get some robust conversations and discussions going. Make introductions to those that you may not have met before, haven't seen so far today. Get familiar. Because this last session that we're going to have today is going to be led by a business mentor, someone who up until March last year used to spend most of the time on the road, speaking to large groups like than ours, but people that are not too dissimilar in a number of different industries, where even though we're for the common cause, we may not be working together necessarily. We all know the analogy of having a waka and a number of different oars in the water, but a lot of splashing going on and maybe not all rowing in the same direction. And so what does leadership look like? What does teamwork look like? And so we've been fortunate enough to, as former CEO and company director, and someone who's now spends most of his time leading groups towards what new leadership looks like. And I guess if we take our theme of thriving and prospering in an unreal world, and the landscape has changed considerably, what does leadership and teamwork look like? I'll hand it over to Bruce.
The speaker's in a different position to the last speaker, and you don't know where to look. And your business is in a different position today from what it was yesterday. And it will be in a different position again tomorrow. And sometimes you don't know where to look. The words on the screen say prospering in an unreal world. Ain't that the truth, huh? What a year. For about the last 3 or 4 years, I've had a little 3-word thing going on in my head that I haven't been able to get rid of. And it goes like this: nothing is, anybody? The same? Positive? How can you sit here for a day and say positive? Nothing is what? Nothing is the same. How about nothing is predictable? And that affects all of us, right? And the last 12 to 15 months has really confirmed that. And when I say nothing is predictable, I think about the fact that the New Zealand currency has moved. Can we just turn that down a little bit? It's just very echoey, sorry. The New Zealand currency has moved between 56 cents and 74 cents against the US dollar in the last 12 months, in the last 36 months. A 32% swing. 13% against the Aussie dollar in the same time. In the last 12 months, the price of oil, coal, and iron ore has more than doubled. You want to know what's happening with building costs? That's part of your reason. You want to know what's happening with electricity costs? That's part of your reason. You want to know why the Aussie economy is going to surge into a recovery while we're still twiddling our thumbs on tourism? Just look at the iron ore price. It's gone from $99 to $213 a tonne in the last 12 months. Constant, massive change. And if you go back before COVID, remember life before COVID? If you go back to life before COVID, you might remember 4 years ago, the Brits voted to Brexit. Nobody saw that coming. The Yanks had an election campaign between dumb and dumber, which was won by dumbest. You might remember that. The French elected a 39-year-old prime minister with a 62-year-old wife who didn't have a political party at the time, but then he got a political party together, and when they had a general election, 40% of the MPs were new in France. And in our own country, we went from John Key to Bill English to Jacinda Ardern in a series of things that nobody could have predicted, including the fact that Bill English won the election, but Winston Peters appointed somebody else, and we ended up with a government that totally changed the trajectory for the country. Massive, rapid change. And then what happened? COVID happened, and the world changed again. And we got a new vocabulary, right? Words like MIQ. Oh, that's not a word, is it really? Social distancing, lockdown, a whole new vocabulary, and a new way of operating, a new way of moving as a community, a new way of moving society. And then the next 12 months are no different. What's the trade impact of Brexit going to be? I don't know yet. We're still trying to negotiate what that looks like. What's the impact of factories being closed due to various lockdowns around the world? We're seeing that now, right, with stock shortages, and as a result of stock shortages, the freight cycles are out of whack, and now there's not enough ships and there's not enough containers, and all that stuff that's taken a year to create is going to take another couple of years to unwind. Climate change legislation, fair pay legislation, all that stuff coming. Now let me just ask a question. I've just dumped a whole lot of stuff on you. Does that affect our business? Does that affect our clubs? Does that affect our members? Anybody? Hey, internet nodding's okay? Nodding or shaking your head? Participation? I know I am at the end of the day standing between you and the bar. I take that responsibility very seriously. Okay, so participation is good, and we'll get to the bar quicker. Does that stuff affect us? It does, doesn't it? Can we do anything about it? Yes? Somebody's going to change the shipping routes or something? No? We can't do a heck of a lot about that stuff, but it does affect our business. So if there's a whole lot of stuff, then in this country we've got the economists, right? Have you noticed how much reportage the economists get in New Zealand? Every time you open a newspaper or you go online, there's something about an economist. The thing about the economists is they're always wrong. You notice that? I remember old Shamabeel Equa, or Shambles, Bob Jones calls him. In 2012, just as we're coming out of the GFC, he said, my wife and I